D-Lo 404 Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to Marlowe's Corner and Trey X and the whole block fam. Had to sell to Marlowe's Corner. Go over there and sell to Marlowe's Corner and Marlowe's Corner 2. Help them get Marlowe's Corner 2 over 1,000 subs. What I want to talk about on this video is all the hoopla and all the push for this Canelo Alvarez versus Andre Ward fight. We all know that by now that Canelo Alvarez got an 11th round TKO over Sergey Kovalev. Same Sergey Kovalev who Andre Ward fought twice on his way out of the sport. First fight ended in I think it was a majority decision, split decision or whatever for Ward. The second fight ended in a stoppage. I think Ward stopped him maybe around 8 rounds or so. I don't remember the exact round. Stopped him with body shots after rocking him badly up top. We know that there was controversy in the first fight where a lot of people were saying Kovalev got robbed. Kovalev himself was screaming, crying robbery. And then in the second fight when Ward stopped him, there was another outcry that Ward was a dirty fighter. He stopped him with a nut shot and all of that nonsense. So, of course, Ward never got full credit for the Sergey Kovalev wins. As far as the Ward detractors go, they pretty much penciled him in with a loss and a disqualification. You know, basically might as well say they gave him 2 L's or L and a no contest in the 2 Kovalev fights if they had it their way. So, you know, quite naturally, during the build up to this fight, there was a conversation being had. You know, they were interviewing Andre Ward, asking him how you think the fight plays out. Ward favored Canelo, said Kovalev's not the same fighter. Kovalev's no longer the crusher. And Ward felt like Canelo would be able to take care of Kovalev. All things being as they played out, Ward was right. Canelo got the win. In history, that's what counts. He got the W, just like Andre Ward got the W 2 times. So they asked Ward several times, you know, what if Canelo beats Kovalev and calls you out? Would you be interested? And basically, the first thing I heard Ward say was that Canelo's not going to do that. You know, and I think he actually went as far as to say Canelo knows better than to do that, which in turn kind of fused the fire when he said stuff like that. Like it's basically saying like Canelo better stay in a child's place. You know what I'm saying? Don't mess with grown men. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I interpret it. So with all that being said, of course the interest has built and built and built, and now that Canelo has actually beaten Sergey Kovalev, it's getting to a fever pitch. And it's probably going to be that way until Canelo announces his next opponent, which if he's actually trying to move forward in his career at light heavyweight, he should have an idea who he wants to fight. If he wants to go back to 168, he should have an idea who he wants to fight. If he wants to go back to 160, he should have an idea who he wants to fight. And if he wants to, as they mentioned in the build-up, go to cruiser and try his hand at cruiser, where there's really not very many, notable fighters there. Not saying the guys aren't good, but they're not, noteworthy household names. You know what I'm saying? Or even for John Q boxing fan, don't know who a lot of those cruiserweights are. Canelo may actually go up there and try his hand at a cruiserweight title. Who knows? I mean, all he has to do is gain a pound. All he has to do is weigh in over 175. So, that being said, you know, whoever Canelo wants to fight next, it shouldn't take him a month to announce it. You know what I mean? So all that remains to be seen. But I will say that as long as Canelo doesn't have an opponent, this talk for him versus Andre Ward is going to continue to build. And if the zone catches wind to how much interest there is in that fight, if people are really talking and really interested, as they say, not saying that they'll actually tune in and subscribe to the zone to see it, but if they're continuing to talk about it, continuing to, act as if it's a big deal and they really want to see it, the zone may actually tap into that and say, let's make this guy an offer. But with what they're paying Canelo, you have to think if they're actually paying Canelo this 30 plus million a fight, that doesn't leave a lot of money to pay Andre Ward. A lot of people are saying, well, you know, if Ward gets 30 million, he's gonna he probably come and take that fight. But I mean, you got to think that if they give Ward 30 million and Canelo 30 million, I mean, or even Ward 20 million, I mean, that's $50 million for two fighters for a fight that the entire, you know what I'm saying, the entire fight, the revenue of the fight probably won't make anywhere near that. I don't even think these fights these fights aren't making. Probably the whole fights of the zone in a month may not be making enough to pay Canelo what he's making. But at the same time, the zone's making an investment. If they're willing to give Andre Ward that type of money, maybe Ward comes out of retirement and takes that fight. It wouldn't be unheard of. You got to remember that Sugar Ray Leonard came out of retirement and fought Marvin Hagler, who at the time was you know, still reigning supreme as middleweight champion, the middleweight champion. You know, there was no question about who was the man at middleweight. You know, it wasn't like the situation with Canelo moving up fighting Kovalev. Kovalev was no longer the man at 175. It was kind of debatable as to who is the top guy, and BUILDUP right now looks to be that guy. Same thing with if Ward comes out and fight Canelo. Canelo's not the man at 175, but Canelo's one of the biggest stars in boxing, so of course it's going to be a big deal. You also had, you know, Floyd Mayweather. I think he had been off about 2 years when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, who was one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. So, and dominated him. So, you know, it's not unheard of for guys to come out of retirement and fight another top fighter. The one thing I will say is that what Virgil Hunter. The thing Virgil Hunter has said is that he is not on board with Ward coming out fresh out of retirement fight Canelo. He will have Ward take 1 or 2 tune-ups first, which is respectable, you know. But that said, for myself, even if Ward came in cold and didn't fight a tune-up fight and went straight into a Canelo fight, if all of this played out, just hypothetically, if that took place, for myself, my expectation would be for Andre Ward to be the Andre Ward that I saw when he left the sport. Maybe not as sharp, maybe a little rusty, but if he's as great a fighter as I think he is, or as I thought he was when he was in the sport, I think he could get all the cobwebs out in sparring. And I think that inside of 2 or 3 rounds, he's got his feel for being back into under the bright lights in an actual fight. And he'll be back to being the same Andre Ward that he was when he left the sport, or as much as could be expected. Of course, he's a couple years older, but he's also well rested. His body had a chance to really mend, and maybe he's you know what I'm saying, in a better place from a physical standpoint, health wise, and maybe even from a mental standpoint. So I would still expect him to go in there and take care of business, because had he never left the sport and he'd been an active 175-pound fighter, I would expect him to beat Canelo. And I expect the same thing if he come back. That said, should Canelo beat Andre Ward, and it's no funny business, no rehydration clause and all this old foolishness, especially you can't put a rehydration clause on a guy coming out of a retirement, because quite naturally he's not walking around probably anywhere near the 175. So he's going to have to get down to 175, and naturally he's going to rehydrate back up probably past 185. So I don't want to see anything like that, but as long as the fight's on the up and up, I would favor Andre Ward. And if Canelo were to beat him, Canelo gets full credit in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? No excuses, no complaints. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Andre Ward. But that's all I got to say about it. This is D-Lo 404 Boxing. Once again, go sub to Marlo's Corner 2. Go sub to Marlo's Corner, the original channel. Thanks for listening to the video. Shout out to the LDBC. I'm out. Peace.